Hey guys, this is Gloria Ward with another I'm Loving Me project webinar. And tonight, guys, I have someone who is really, really, really amazing. And it's going to talk about um, a topic that is so crucial. And I know some of you have actually experienced this. I know some people personally have experienced this. And she has been working tirelessly, advocating for this cause and everything. So I actually wrote down a little bit because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So who we have is Miss Darieth Chisolm, right? She's an Emmy award-winning television personality. She's a former NBC News anchor. She's an author, a business and life coach, but she has an organization that's called 50 Shades of Silence, which is a global movement giving voice to victims of cyber harassment and online crimes. And I want everybody to listen to her story, and I want everyone to just understand how you will be able to protect yourself, get involved, and just really, really, really pay attention, because this is something that's happening all over where Darieth kids are dying. Kids are dying because of these things that are happening. So I thank you so much for being here. I thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome, and I appreciate you inviting me to be here. I'm glad to be here with you.
Oh, yes. So here at the I'm Loving Me project, what we do is the goal is to inspire 1 million women to love themselves. And just your story alone, I want you to tell your story and tell your experience, and let's really get into it, because I want to know the kind of space you was in when it happened, and really how did you pull yourself out?
Yeah, well, first off, I do appreciate the work that you're doing, and I can see why when we rally around each other and hold each other up and really give ourselves permission to love each other, we just make the world a better place. So thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, my story is probably like so many other women's stories who I unfortunately have come into contact with who have experienced something called revenge porn. It also goes by the name non-consensual pornography, image abuse, cyber sexual assault, cyber rape. I actually call it digital domestic violence.
Right.
And it stems for me from a relationship that I was in. I was living with an ex-boyfriend in Jamaica a few years ago, and the relationship was ending, and partly because he was becoming controlling and manipulative. And so I left the island, came back to the States to continue the work that I do, which I'll get into in a moment, but
Right.
to just really carry on with my life. And we hadn't talked for a couple of months. And then on January 1st, 2017, at 1:28 in the morning, I get a phone call. And he said to me, "I will shoot you in your head and stab you in your heart if you don't
No,
return to me."
no.
And, I'm sure many of the women that are watching have probably never had a death threat, but to have someone say that to you, especially someone that you loved and you were in a relationship with, like leaves you flat on your back. And,
Absolutely.
that was, continued with additional threats. And, my first frame of thought was, listen, I'm not available for this. I wasn't returning his phone calls. I was not paying attention to the text messages, but it went on, and it went on for about 2 weeks. And then one morning I got a text, and I happened to open it up, and it was a video, of me with a lot of naked photos
Jeez.
that he had been taking of me while I was asleep living with him. They were
Mm-mm.
photos that I didn't know he'd been taking. There were other photos that he had taken, but then manipulated and
Right.
put all types of negative memes. And so here was this video of me and all of me, my naked body, all of me, and with threats saying that I'm going to put this out on the internet if you don't answer the phone, if you don't come back to the relationship. So obviously I pick up the phone and call him.
Of
Well,
course.
this went on for several months. Like every other day, there'd be a harassment or a threat or another photo or a video. And the reason this not only, obviously, I don't care what you're doing, this is harmful and it's hurtful. And any woman experiencing this as a means of threat or retaliation or revenge, it's you immediately feel as though you are, at the whims of someone who is threatening and you can't get them to stop. And you worry, who's seeing this? Is this out
Right.
on the internet? I don't want anyone to see this.
And you have a career. That's the thing. Like, you have a career. You have worked so hard to get to where you are. And for someone to actually threaten to snatch that away, you have some kind of fear with that too. Cause you're like, you don't want to mess up that aspect of it. But now you have to give in to the manipulation. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and this is where the control comes in. And I don't care if my career was sweeping floors. I wouldn't want my naked body out there whatsoever. But in this case, he was choosing to try and silence and destroy me and kill my 30-year celebrity and credibility that I spent 30 years building as a television news anchor and highly regarded, respected citizen who, clearly did not want her naked body out there.
Right.
And he knew that. And he said to me over and over again, I will silence and destroy you. And so not only were the threats of the photos and the videos, but the verbal threats and even threats against my son. So it went on for some period of time until he finally put up a website and he put all of the photos and the videos onto the website. So now if you Googled my name, which my name gets Googled often, you would see this. And he knew this. That, of course, just sent me to my lowest point. I couldn't get him to stop. The website was up. I couldn't get GoDaddy or Google to shut the website down.
Which is crazy.
And this is where a lot of women are in this fight to get internet companies and providers to remove the content and remove it quickly, because as we know on the internet, things move quickly. So it's this sense of like, now everybody's seeing me in this way. And now what do? I can't get him to stop. They won't take it down. I went to court. I spent nearly a year in court, thousands of dollars in legal fees just to get the judge to actually create language that I could take to GoDaddy and Google to force them to take the website down. Fortunately, I did use what's called a DMCA takedown notice to have the website removed. But the fact that one would have to go to court, and you know how long it can be in court to try and get a piece of paper to get them to do something. And yet on the internet, things are moving by the nanosecond. So that level of frustration, along with the lack of legislation, there's really no laws in place to adequately punish perpetrators. Yes, some states see this as a misdemeanor, maybe a $500 fine. But by then, people's jobs have been ruined. Their lives have been ruined. Unfortunately, suicide rates among women and children who've experienced this are skyrocketing.
Absolutely.
So we're really at a point where if we don't figure out a way to remove the content quickly to help at least alleviate that and to get the perpetrators to stop, it leaves victims feeling very silenced and very destroyed. So
and
when
helpless, like you're helpless,
yeah,
because there's nothing that you can do. I had a friend who had a boyfriend who attempted to do the same thing, and it was so crazy how he was going to put it on social media, and at the time, most of the social media sites didn't have these privacy things on where you can protect yourself, and it was just a mess of how she had to give in to all of his manipulation and go back to him and do all these things because she was worried about her job. She was worried about what was going to happen to her, and she was worried about the shame until she stopped caring and just said that she was just going to deal with it. But there was nothing that she can protect herself from. Nothing.
And there are very few ways that people can do it. Obviously, there are takedown notices. Some of the social media companies have created ways that people can petition to have content removed. But even vulgar language, I hear from people every day. I get emails from around the world because I did a TED talk that is now on TED's main website. It's been translated to 14 different languages. And so I get emails from women and I have to translate the emails, and it's almost the same story. And that's the sickening part about it, is it's
Yes.
so rampant, and it's impacting people all over the world. And it's not going anywhere. We're not getting rid of these laptops and these computers, and people's inability to handle their own pain, because hurt people hurt people. They react in a way that they feel like they can. That's why I call it digital domestic violence. If they can't physically put their hands on you, they can find other ways by taking any material, content, photos, videos, whatever it is that you don't want out onto the internet, and use that against you to exact revenge in a way that's just like if someone were to be violent with you,
Right.
whether verbally or physically or emotionally.
Right. And so my other question was, what were you going through at that time? Like, how was your mental state? Like, what was the feeling? What kind of support? Because I would think that would be something that is huge. Like, for even like what I do in the platform that I have, it will be a big blow to me, because I would feel so humiliated, especially if you know that you're a celebrity or something like that. And you already have to deal with stuff on a daily basis, right? You're already in front of people. And to now deal with all of this coming at you, which is a personal thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that it was the toughest, most darkest period of my life ever. For so many reasons, because I didn't want to tell anyone. So the silence alone was killing me. And I felt like I had nowhere to turn and no one to share it with, out of sheer shame and embarrassment and humiliation. And I couldn't even tell my mother.
Wow.
It took me months to get to the point where I could share this with my mother. And it wasn't until the time that the threats were lobbed at my son that I knew then that I had to get active. And and it was more than get active with pulling myself up and out of it, because I spent many days and nights crying and feeling helpless. I mean, and I think it was just the helplessness of not being able to get him to stop. And it was every day another post or whatever, a thread, but then it was knowing that it was on the internet and I couldn't get the internet companies to take it down, and that it just leaves you just shrinking and pulling back. And it literally wasn't until after I had a conversation with my son, which I didn't even want to have, but I knew that I needed to tell him because of the threats. And my son, the beautiful child, well, young man that he is, he's 22, had no malice in his voice. And, because you would think that a young man would be like, this dude is doing this to my mom, I'm going to get, I'm going to get revenge, none of that. I mean, he just said to me in the calmest voice possible, I'm so sorry that this is happening to you, but you're going to get through this, Mom. I know you are. You're the strongest woman that I know.
Wow.
And then he said, and these words will forever change my life. And he said, and besides, Mom, he chose the wrong woman to mess with.
Come on, baby. Okay.
Yeah. And when he says that, it was like, whoa. Like
he sure did. He sure did choose the wrong one.
And I'm from Detroit. So like I had to remember I'm from Detroit. I was like, whoa, so it made me get to this place of really like, come on, Darieth, you're better than this. And that second like shifted my thinking. And I then asked myself this question, and it has forever changed my life as well. And that was, okay, then who do I need to become now?
Yes, Darieth.
And that question, even now, when something happens or shakes my world, I say to myself, who do I need to become now? Because obviously in the face of this, I'm not being the strongest feminine leader I can be. I need to reinvent myself if that's what I need to. And so that question alone, and I heard film a documentary, help other people, be of service. And I immediately went into action. I started 50shadesofsilence.com, the website that has lots of resources and tools and support. I began, looking for filming. I mean, my background is in television. So the one thing that I know how to do is tell a story. And so
Exactly.
it became this passion of mine that to go out and find other victims, other advocates. So, we filmed for about a year. We literally are the space now where we're massaging this into quite possibly a 30-minute documentary. So that has been, one piece of it. The advocacy work, I have been traveling the world, literally speaking and being in circles and in communities and in places where I can advocate for victims and help people understand the sheer magnitude of cyberbullying and cyber harassment. And that's allowed me to really have an active voice. We've collected over 7,000 signatures to send to Congress to
Wow.
encourage them to support the Enough Act by Senator Kamala Harris,
Yes.
who's running for president.
Mhm.
So I've been very busy, and I'm really proud to say that I've got a speech that's lined up in April with Me2 founder Tarana Burke.
Good for
And so
you.
that's
Yes.
just an honor because I love the
Congratulations.
work that she's doing. So I said all of that to say that came out of my darkest moment. It came
Yes.
out of me asking myself, who do I need to become now? And if I had continued to stay in that space, which I know many of us have been,
Mhm.
that period of alchemy, that period of change for me really fostered and grew an entirely different woman. I am entirely different than who I was before this. And so to some degree, I'm grateful for having spent that time in the well.
Exactly. And
And
that's what I try to tell the ladies in our community, that the stuff that you're going through, the challenges that you're having, it's only pushing you to grow and to be a better person. If you can't see your way, you have to sit back. For you, it came through your son, where it just snapped just like that. Where you're like, mommy is. Yes, she is, honey.
yeah,
She is a strong woman. Okay, let's get back into action, because
right.
now you're able to see your way out, because it's like most of the people just focus on what's going on right now, and it does hurt, and it is bad, and it is ugly, but at the end of the day, we're here right now.
Yeah.
We're changing things. You're advocating. You're out there, and you're changing lives, and you're changing women's lives, and you're helping get this topic out, and building awareness, because I read a report the other day of how a lot of teenagers who are being bullied on social media are actually committing suicide.
Oh, it is so rampant,
That's
Gloria. I mean, it's
so
so,
shocking.
obviously the things that come across my news feed are outside of the work that I do in coaching and
Yeah,
empowerment and women and in development
yeah.
are seriously all of these other things. And so I have to keep my finger on that. And it breaks my heart every time that I see women and children and men there, I mean, that take their lives because of this. But I never felt like I would take my life, but I know just how um, stripped and raped and vulnerable I felt in that moment. And it's no different than any other victim, I believe, who
Mhm.
has even experienced any form of physical assault or mental assault or emotional abuse. That it leaves you in this trapped place. And
Yeah.
I think, though, in this case, because when it's out there on the internet, it's exacerbated because
Correct.
everyone can see it. So you feel even more ashamed, because it's one thing that if you can hide a scar, that if someone's hit you, or you can
Mhm.
hide the emotional pain. But if you can't get naked photos off that you did not give consent for someone to have and to use, and
Right.
now it's all, and people are making comments and it's out there, you read them, it just makes you feel even less than. And so it drives people to a very low point. And my heart breaks for those people who can't find their way out or don't get assistance and look for support, because they need it. They really do.
Yeah, they do. And I'm so glad that you had the strength to speak on this topic, because it's something that's really not talked about because people are just like, well, if it gets on the internet, it's out there and all this, but the shame and everything that goes with it. And when I read that so many kids are dying from the bullying and who are cutting themselves, it was like a whole bunch, it was like a big report on it of how these kids are lives are really being affected by things like that. So I just say I am so glad that you are lending your voice to this cause and this movement, and I pray everything goes well for you with the Me Too movement, because it's something that needs to be put on the forefront. Absolutely, because somebody has to say something, because it's just a regular thing. Like, oh, if it's on the internet, we can do some things, but we can't do everything. Everybody's entitled to whatever they want. And it's like, no, people are dying,
Yeah, no, it doesn't, and I realize that we're in a day and age now where people do share private images with people that they're in a relationship with. I hear from women who are married and they've been married for 20 or 30 years and obviously in a consenting adult relationship, and they have shared private, intimate photos. And then the spouse, upon divorce or leaving the relationship, puts the content out.
Exactly.
And then the people on the other side will say, well, then you shouldn't have shared the images. Well, they were married.
Correct. Like,
they slept together, like they were, so it doesn't. And so I've always said that I don't care if it was given with consent. It does not give the other person permission to use the images with the intent to do harm. Exactly. Therein lies the issue. And therein lies where we should be having conversations that are held up in a court of law, held up in places that people can distinguish between the fact that this is a crime, this is something that's done with the intent to do harm, versus the person who gives the photos. It's not their fault. Right. And so often people want to victim blame and victim shame and point the finger at the person who gave the photos or the information, when that's the finger's pointing in the wrong direction. It needs to go to the person who's doing the harm.
Absolutely. So let us know everything, your Instagram, your Facebook, what you have coming up, all of these wonderful things, because we want to make sure that we support you in any kind of way that we can. And we appreciate you being a part of our blog for the month. I enjoyed reading your article, and I just thought that this was such a great thing. And I'm just so grateful that we were able to connect. So give us all the info so we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the website is 50 Shades of Silence, and that's 50 shadesofsilence.com. We are on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram under 50 Shades of Silence. You can find me under Darieth Chisolm, DariethChisolm.com, as well as on all other social media as well. And, like me, follow me, get in touch with me. I would tell you that, go to the website and see what's there. You never know who might be experiencing this, because, I didn't tell anybody and no one would have ever known. And who wants to? But in those crucial moments when you need to act, I would say there are three things that are really important to doing. Mm-hmm. If you are the victim, the first thing you need to do is to get the content removed if you can as quickly as possible, so that you mitigate any more of it going out. Right. On the website, 50 Shades of Silence, we do have some removal guides and some steps to getting it removed and contacting a DMCA to have it taken down. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be to definitely get in touch if you have a friend or someone that you trust that you can talk with, because sometimes when you're emotionally spinning, it's hard to make good decisions about next steps. Absolutely. So if there's someone that you can rely on, that you would definitely let them know this is what's going on and ask for their help. And the help that you would want them to do is to assist you in the takedown, but also if you need to get in touch with authorities or you need to get in touch with an attorney, because in some states it makes sense for you to bring an attorney involved and maybe press charges and go to court. Okay. And you really do need someone who knows this, because this is specialized, if you will, a specialized law. So having someone to help you to do that would be great. I'll add additionally, if you are feeling emotional, or if you feel suicidal, or you feel like this is way too much, to get help. Even on our website, we've got a suicide prevention phone number there. We also have a number if you need assistance as it relates to revenge porn, cyberbullying, cyber harassment, with connection to CCRI, which is the um, uh, an organization that has been active, very active with helping women to move through this. Their contact information, there's a 1-800 number there as well.
Okay.
So the bottom line is get help quickly. Don't try to do this alone. Don't suffer in silence by yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. You know, there's this process of moving through this. And the one thing you want to do as well is to keep all evidence. Anything that has been sent to you, anything that you see online that someone else has put there that you don't want, screenshots, save
Okay.
it. You need that information. Don't send it to anyone.
Right.
Make sure that you because actually you can be charged reverse. So that's actually not a yes. Save it though. You need to save the information. But yeah, so those would be some of, I said 3, but I probably meant to say 5 things that you need to do. But they're there at the website. And there are lots of other groups out there. There are some amazing organizations out there that are really acting and moving quickly to help victims. And so we list some of them on the website as well. We can't do everything. I mean, the purpose of the work that I do is to get out and talk about it, to film a documentary, to educate people. But the back end work, there's some amazing groups, and some of them are listed on my website that women and children can reach out to.
Wow, that is fantastic. And Darieth, I thank you so much for being here and just giving us the knowledge and everything that you're doing, because I really have a passion for it, where I feel like it's important. Because when I did see your TED Talk, and in the beginning, just the emotion of when you displayed the photos and the text messages, and I was just like, I can't believe that this happened. And then there's really nothing you can do about it until you start to act. So I'm so thankful that you are taking this journey. And, I tell everybody, it's like, the world needs you. I am happy that you were able to get out of the situation and see that you needed to grow in order to now be an advocate, because what they consider to be so small is so big, and I'm glad that you're a voice for that. So we would definitely share everything that you have. Any updates, latest things, send it to me. I'll put it inside our community so we can continue to support you in any way that you need. Okay.
Absolutely. I'm certainly happy to continue to keep you up to date, and appreciate anyone going out to the website or any of our social media, following me, staying in tune, in touch, and happy to be of service to others. And again, if there are any victims that are watching, again, we've got resources there for the website, and don't be afraid to reach out to me or to anyone else that we put on the website as well.
Absolutely. Well, guys, there you have it. And I want to thank each and every one of you who came and sat with us live. The replay will be up in a second, and we'll be able to send it out to everybody so you can see, comment, like, and also follow Darieth on all her social media platforms, and really, really get involved. I did see a donate button, correct, on
Yes.
50 Shades website. Please go there, take a look at the donation button, give, and let her continue to do this work. Darieth, thank you so much for coming. Okay.
Gloria, thank you. And thank you for continuing to do the work that you do.
All right. Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
You too.